And we are rolling on July 20th at UCLA, where it's a beautiful day. The sunshine is shining. There are no princesses outside awaiting us. However, Brandon Green stands before us to share with us 3 ways that a film has moved him. Do I have a timer?
Yes.
Do you have a Apple Watch? Yes. Do you want 4, 3, 2, 1 half?
Yeah,
You talked to her about it?
She's going to warm me up through.
Great. Okay. And you look around the room. You're in the power stance nicely. You make sure that all phones are away, computers are closed, food is away. People are looking. You have eyeballs all locked upon you. For at least this moment, we're about eyeball control, you know. At least according to Richard Lanham. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, my name is Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
I want to tell you about a movie that inspired me and is still prevalent in my life and possibly other people's lives today. That film is called Hidden Figures. That movie is about an African-American woman who actually helped with putting the first man to space. Her name is Katherine Johnson. This movie moved me in any types of way. And according to Paul Elia, a review critic, he said that this movie inspires and it innovates while also showing that's racial division, but giving a way to fix it. And I agree with him. This is what the movie actually is encompassed and actually wants to give to its viewers. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is frustration. In the movie, when she went to work for NASA, there were people who just didn't like her based on her skin color. They thought that she was ignorant, incompetent, but she actually was a mathematical prodigy that basically was essential to putting the first man in space. And they just looked at her based on her color of skin. I had this same experience happen to me in the workplace. I'm a tutor at Pierce College for English and Philosophy. When an English tutor decided to give me a paper. But the paper, she said, "Can you look this over?" There's many English tutors all around. And she decided to go to the back of the room towards me. And she said, "Hey, can you read this?" I'm like, "Well, that's strange." And the paper ended up having to do with black African Americans. First off, I found it rude. My family's, well, I would acknowledge myself as a black person, but my family's not from America. So I was like, okay, I'll read it. And the things that were in that paper were just so negative. I was like, you know, you're giving this paper to incoming freshmen. And I was like, do you really want to give this? It's a little strong. And she was like, well, I got an A on it. I was like, well, I'm just giving you my opinion. If you want to do it, that's fine. And that's when she gave me the really big question. Well, you know, I just don't want them to get mad and shoot me or something. I know how you guys are. And when she told me that, I was like, wow, you really think that the first thing that we're going to do is resort, as African Americans or black people, we're going to resort to violence as if we're some primitive animal? And I'm like, no. And I was like, I'm not even going to acknowledge you right now. So I'll talk about that later if we have time. The next thing that this movie invoked was, I was shocked. In the movie, they created a basically separate coffee pot that said colored people. They didn't want her drinking from the same coffee pot as her. And they're saying, you know, that's ours, you don't drink it, but they think it'll affect us. Well, this happened to me similar when I was 15. I had my first form of overt racism. I was at the time with my current girlfriend at a carnival when a group of guys, probably about 18, I was 15, said, hey, let's sit over there. One guy in the group, and the other guy said, no, there's a nigger over there, sitting at the table. I didn't know these people. And for them to say it to me, and I didn't even know that, I'm like, that's wrong. I was like, I'm not going to judge you. I was like, I can't do anything about it. And when she said that to me, I was like, look, I'm outnumbered. Cool. So you keep that, that's fine. And it affected me in such a way that it kind of changed my life and the way I view things. Now, the third thing how this movie moved me was optimism for the future. When, in the movie, Katherine Johnson's boss told all the coworkers, you respect this individual as a human. Don't look at her color, look at her for her character and what she brings to this team. And that's when I realized not everybody from different races or ethnicities are racist or they have these prejudiced views. It's just certain individuals that don't tend to represent the community as a whole. You shouldn't just hold everyone accountable for one person's single actions. And that's when I had a similar instance where, again, at the workplace, some people told one of my coworkers, because we were going on a hike together, do you really want to go on a hike with this black guy? He has tattoos, he's big. And I know this guy. I actually defended him because he's actually gay. And I said someone made a comment against him at a 2E who said, oh, I don't want to be tutored by you because you're gay. And the fact that I said that's wrong. I was like, don't do that. And the fact that he came back and said those things about me after I came to his defense kind of shocked me. But then another person in the workplace said, hey, he's a kind person. He treats everyone with respect. I hope you would do the same for him and don't judge him. And those were the three things that moved me. And I know that it's still, even though it was pivotal in the 1960s and it played a big role during that time, it's still now happening. But we also have to make sure there's optimism for the future. And we don't have to have hate in your heart. Because sometimes when we allow hate in our heart, it's hard to allow it to leave. And that's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Okay, let's start in the rear over here. Thank you for waiting respectfully at the door until the speech had come to you, please.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Emily.
What's your name?
Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Hi. I thought it was really good. You have really good presence when you speak, and when you tell your stories, it doesn't seem like you're kind of like memorized off the top of your head. It sounds like you're generally speaking perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah, we call that extemporaneous, which is what we want. It'll be different each time you say it in practice, but you speak from an outline, and it's much more effective than memorized or reading word for word. Improvement, please.
Hi, my name is Rishma.
Hi,
So I really liked your speech, and if I have to say one thing, I can't really find anything, but maybe just move a little bit more this way. You moved a lot that way, but
I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, minor point, but Brandon, if you could move there further and come back to the center about where the rope is hanging, that's great. That's in the center of the room. You want to end up back in the center. Well, you started the speech with an introduction that was sort of a descriptive demonstration of hidden figures, and it was about the 60s, and to say it was about Calvin Johnson, and then it's still happening, right? And I would like you next time to either come up with a poem, a quote, a story, or a joke, something more specific. It's a little bit more of a grabber, because this sounded more like just an expository, here's my speech. Second thing that I think you can improve on when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube is that your thesis statement got a little bit muffled and buried, and so we don't want to muffle or bury that. And you want to say, so today I want to tell you that the film moved me in three ways. It made me feel frustrated, shocked, and hopeful. Okay? And we didn't really get that in a booming, clear way so that the narrative was clearly established in the beginning. See, and you want that narrative to be clear so your audience has a roadmap to follow. Your SIG statement, your quote from the New York Times, which you agreed with, and he has it in Chicago style. Yeah, excellent, yeah. Good. Now, on your feelings, which is what the essence of this speech is about, and felt sensing and remembering situations that were like what happened in the movie. The first one was frustrated. You briefly quoted an incident in the movie, and I liked that. And then you told us about a similar situation that happened to you at Pierce College with a young woman.
Yes, woman. It was two fellow coworkers. Yes.
Yeah, and that was sort of treating you in a stereotypical way and saying things. I don't want to get shot by you guys. You guys can get violent and all this stuff. Good story. But remember the emotion you're communicating because, and this is why I was so frustrated. So remember to re-communicate to them what emotion you're remembering and felt sensing. So there's no doubt. Because otherwise we get lost in the story. It was a good story, but don't let us get lost in the story and lose the emotion. Yeah. On Shocked, you told us briefly about the horrible separate coffee pot incident, which was in the movie. I hope you all have seen this movie, but she had to walk a mile to get coffee. It was ridiculous. And to use the restroom. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And you related the idea to the fact that when you were 15 in a carnival with your girlfriend, someone used the N-word and they were insensitive. And what I wanted you to say again is a good story, but and when this happened, I felt shocked. Okay. And then on coming back to the full center, as I said before, not kind of kitty corner where you ended up, optimism was the final emotion you were going to communicate, and it took you a while to get to it, but you got to it. Because originally you were sort of telling a story that was negative, and then some guy kind of came through and came to your aid, and so that made you optimistic, and that was well done. Now, here's where you really went to pot, because there are 7 parts to the storytelling. So you finished your main body. So then in the narrative, what comes next is you say, so in summary, I've shown you 3 ways to film a movie. Shocked, optimistic, and frustrated. In conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that this film really did move. And then I needed a tie back to your introduction. And here you wrote, but didn't say it in your speech, even though the movie takes place in the 60s, the way these courageous women carried themselves through adversity shows that we must embody the same qualities and fight for a better future. Great tie back had you said it or done it. So it shows me you understand the tie back, you just didn't do it. Okay, so I don't know if you just felt that you were falling apart. What was the time, by the way?
4:42.
4:40 what?
42.
4:42. Okay, good. Your connives. Power others to stand up against injustice. So you're almost wanting to be a persuasive speech in your film speech. Form an emotional connection to the audience, and that was the purpose of the speech. And to explain how the movie connects to my life in a way that others can understand. How'd it go?
I'd have to ask the audience with the last one if I formed an emotional connection, if they could understand. The thing with the speech is that I don't want people to just say, oh, I feel sorry for this individual, he's such a marginalized minority. I want them to just feel where I'm coming from and just understand to a point where I may not be able to relate, but I do understand where you're coming from. And that's something that I guess the audience has.
I think they got that. So that was good. Big point, let me repeat. You got it in time, but Brandon,
yes,
don't lose your narrative. Okay, you want to say, preview what you're going to say it, then tell us what you said. So conceptualize that. There's always be in every part of every essay you write and every speech you give. Thank you, Brandon. Okay, let's have another person, and let's facilitate this by having an on-deck person up here so it goes back. So, can you pull a chair up here next to this, to this overhead projector? So, do we have a volunteer? Okay, and then we need an on-decker, a baseball metaphor. Okay, who's going? Come on, this guy's we're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. It's summer school. The time goes fast. And who will be on deck, meaning go next? Go next. Okay, and you'll go next. Perfect. Great. Okay, you're a little different size. Okay. Whoa. All right, Olivia, you're almost to the wall. Are you afraid of it? No, you're not. Of course not. And shake out your hands. Get rid of all that tension so you can just gesture naturally. But okay, Olivia stands before us. Managing the tension. Does everyone have their phones away? Their computers closed? You're timing now, and she knows what you're going to get.
Which one?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Just hit the 3-minute mark, and then start.
Can you do like 3 and then like at 4?
And then, okay, yeah.
So you're going to give me down 3, 2, 1, half left, and then.
Or do you want me to go up to 5? Because it seemed like you said 3, 4, 5.
Whatever you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
go up.
Oh, go up. Okay.
Go up. Oh, okay. So it makes the world go round. Olivia, in the power stance, reach a little wider. Okay. Say your name, feel a little love. Say to yourself, I respect my audience. Look around and really mean it. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
So a teenage boy gets a social studies project to change the world. What could he possibly accomplish? Well, this is the premise of one of my favorite movies. It follows this young boy's project where he comes up with the pay it forward method. Every single time you are the recipient of an act of kindness, you have to do unto 3 others an act of kindness. Today, I want to share with you a film that really moved me, Pay It Forward. It made me sad, it made me angry, and it made me inspired. Now, not everyone agreed with me, as Peter Travers of the Rolling Stones said this is a lousy movie made by smart people who should have known better. And while I agree that the people who made this were smart, I completely disagree with the rest of his quote, as this film tackles important issues of selflessness, tragedy, and sacrifice that are very important. So to begin, the first way in which this film moved me is that it made me sad. The part of the film that made me sad was towards the end when Trevor sees another boy being bullied and decides to intervene on his behalf. However, the confrontation turns violent and Trevor is stabbed to death. This is so depressing because in his attempt to be a good person and help innocent people, he himself becomes a victim of violence. And this reminded me of a situation with my grandmother. For years, she worked as a nurse and specifically helped patients with Alzheimer's disease. But as she began to grow older, she developed dementia. And I was suddenly watching her fall victim to the same ailment that she had been working so hard all her life to combat, which was very ironic and depressing for me to have to accept that nobody, no matter how good of a person you are, is exempt from tragedy and terrible situations. The second way in which this film moved me was that it made me angry. The part of the movie that made me angry kind of stems all throughout, where Trevor's father comes in and out of the picture. He's an alcoholic and he's abusive to Trevor's mother, but she continues to let him come back every single time and never receives any punishment for his actions. And this reminded me of a situation with a friend. I was with her and her boyfriend one night, and suddenly they got into a fight, and it got physical, and he hit her really hard, and she was very upset. She started crying. He left, and I was consoling her, and I said, it's okay, you don't have to deal with him anymore. And she said, no, I love him. And I was so shocked, and all I wanted to do was just grab her and shake some sense into her. But it was so frustrating to understand that I couldn't. That sometimes people are going to let that cycle repeat, and they're going to make stupid decisions, and bad people are
aren't going to receive justice, but that's what you have to accept, which is why this made me so angry. And finally, this film made me feel inspired. The part of the film that made me feel inspired comes at the very end after Trevor's death, when hundreds of people show up to his mother's home for a candlelight vigil, and it's broadcasted all across the country, and people are finally starting to pay attention to Trevor's pay-it-forward method and treat each other better. In this way, they turned a negative situation into having a positive impact on the world. And this reminded me of a situation with my uncle. When I was 10, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I would go to the hospital every week and sing to him. And it seemed to be the only thing that would brighten his day. And after he died, a few years later, I was so depressed and upset, and suddenly I just thought, I can't keep mourning someone who's never coming back, and I have to do something good instead of just being upset all the time. So I started going to hospitals and singing to patients while they still had some time left. And in the same way that what happened with Trevor turned a negative situation into a positive one that had a better impact on the world. So, in summary, I've told you the 3 ways in which this film moved me. It made me sad, it made me angry, and it made me inspired. And there should be no doubt that it truly moved me. So to answer my question from the beginning, what could he accomplish? He could change the world, and this film made me realize that all of us can too, with kindness. Thank you very much.
4 minutes and 10 seconds.
4 minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you. Yes, please.
So I really liked your speech. I loved your facial expressions, and you really connected with the audience, and you moved seamlessly. It was really good.
Yes, please. Improvement.
Hi, my name is Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
I thought it was really, really good. It was hard to find something wrong with it, but maybe if you could have like changed your voice more, made it seem more narrative and like less like you're just saying a script, it would maybe even better.
Yeah. Olivia, good speech, really good speech. You really nailed it. You know, you really had it down. You had all the parts, but those 2 things, I'll mention 2 things, 2 big things that will make you a more effective speaker. One is to work on your vocal variety. And I would go through and yell certain keywords and work on being emphatic. So I can't mourn all my life for my uncle. See? And like that. So, because you're right, that you have a pattern and you had plenty of time, so you didn't need to zip right through it in this sort of same pattern. And when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see what Lauren and I are talking about. Well, gosh, you had a great intro, and you speak of kindness. You set a nice narrative. You told it very clearly, sad, angry, and inspired, so we knew what was coming. Excellent. Yeah, Peter Travers doesn't go for, any of these types of movies. If you read the Rolling Stone regularly, he regularly bashes these kinds of movies, chick flicks, etc., really get under his skin, etc., So I was happy to see you say, screw Peter Travers, I disagree with him. I like the movie, right? So, yeah. So that was well done. Sad. Yeah. Told briefly the story of, plot, summary, giveaway, he dies, yeah. Oops.
Sorry to spoil it.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, but it's everyone's seen it, so what the heck. You told of your grandmother, I guess it was, and dementia that she worked with, and then got it. What you didn't do is return to the emotion and pump the emotion as you were telling the story, and I saw her descending further and further into the depths of dementia. I got sadder and sadder. And so in seeing this happen to my grandmother who worked so long to fight against this, it made me really sad. So we know clearly the emotion you're communicating. Nice call on the Chicago style of footnoting. Thank you for that. Second emotion, you did this one correctly. You talked about your anger. And you said that you have a friend who lets her boyfriend beat her up physically. And she says, I love him, which is pretty sad. Oh, I hope she gets help because she is really in for a long, sad life if she lets that continue. But you did go back to the emotion, and I think you could have pumped that even more in your own personal reaction to how can you let somebody physically harm you and say, I love you, after they do that. Doesn't work for me. Okay. Uninspired, you told us the story of the candlelight vigil, and in the story you related was of your uncle passing, and you sang to him, and then that inspired you to go to hospitals and sing. What you didn't do was you told us a story, but you didn't sense the emotion is, I feel inspired every time I go and I brighten the day of somebody in the hospital who's down and out, right? And that's why I felt inspired. See, didn't return to the emotion. Summary, excellent. Conclusion, excellent. Tie back, excellent. Can I walk forward while I'm speaking? Make eye contact with the audience and speak more slowly in an expressive manner. Wow, how'd that go?
I felt the first two went much better this time, but I still have to work on speaking slower and using narrative voice.
Yeah, and more expressive with your audience. And just a tad longer in the eye contact. Work on the 3 to 5 seconds. But you truly have worked on this speech, Olivia, and it was a worthy effort. So I appreciate your effort on it. Thank you. Okay. And we need somebody on deck. Is everyone initial the roll sheet? Yeah? No? Okay.
And I need to go down or up?
You go down.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And, you're a different height. Just a minute. You take a step forward, you look a little bit back. There you go, and a little bit that way. Yeah, perfect. Is it Rashoma? Rashoma stands before you, managing attention. They're talking, communicating respect, non-verbal, saying yourself. Respect my audience, really meaning it. Finding friendly eyes at the front associating into love space.
Hi, my name is Reshma.
Hi, Reshma.
Lights, camera, action. Hollywood is a place where aspiring actors and musicians from near and far come to in order to make it big and achieve their dreams. Through the use of colorful cinematography and charismatic music pieces, we follow the story of Sebastian and Mia and how they sort of stalled out on the way to achieving their dreams and what they do to make it big. Today, I'm going to tell you about a film that really moved me, La La Land. It made me feel inspired, euphoric, and optimistic. As Brian Tallarico noted, La La Land serves as a reminder that movies can still be magical, not just another day in the sun, as the characters first sing, but as a way to remember the dreams from the night before and the ones we wake up to trying to fulfill and keep dancing to. So firstly, the movie inspired me. The scene that made me feel inspired was when Sebastian was in the restaurant and he was playing music, and the manager strictly told him he has to play these Christmas songs, and he didn't want to do it, but he was doing it. And after a while, he decided to play what he wanted, and he was playing so passionately, and he was really into it, and he did it despite the consequences that were going to happen. This reminded me of when I myself was volunteering at a hospital, and I really did not like what I was doing at all, but I was doing it because I would get a letter of recommendation from it, and it would look really good on my resume. But I did not love it, and I was just doing it for what I was going to get out of it, like Sebastian getting a paycheck. But after a while, I decided, no, this isn't what I want to do. I'm going to switch over to something else, like despite not getting a letter or the information on my resume, I want to do something that I'm passionate about and that I feel the same passion that Sebastian had when he was playing his music. The next feeling that this movie made me feel was I felt euphoric. I felt happy. And the scene that I'm talking about is when Sebastian and Mia were walking, trying to find their car, and it was night out in LA, and it was a beautiful sunset. They were overlooking a canyon, and they just started dancing with each other. This made me feel really euphoric and happy because despite the fact that they weren't where they wanted to be in their careers, they were working dead-end jobs, they were able to sort of step away and just dance in the moment. And this reminded me when I was a senior graduating from college, and I was so stressed out. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My GPA wasn't where I needed it to be, and I just was so stressed, and I decided to join a dance team where for 2 hours a day I could just kind of release and do what I wanted to do and enjoy myself and not think about that. The last way this movie made me feel was optimistic. It made me feel optimistic when, at the end, Mia gets her dream job, but her and Sebastian have to end their relationship despite being in love so that she can go abroad and do what she needs to do in order to grow. This relates to me, for I'm kind of at that position now in life where I'll be going to pharmacy school in fall, and I have to myself let go of what I love and what I like and I'm so comfortable with and have to move away. And it scares me like Mia and Sebastian were scared to break up, but I know it's what I need to do in order to grow. So in summary, this movie really moved me, for it made me feel inspired, euphoric, and optimistic. Sometimes, we get stuck in the comfortable and what's easy, but if we're not doing what we really love, is it worth continuing and following through? So La La Land provides, a roller coaster of emotions, and it has great music, and it ignites, a passion to go out and do what you want, and it's a movie I highly recommend. Thank you.
Thank you. Time
409.
409. Everyone's in the fours. Okay, good. At least they're not in the sixes and sevens. We're in the back row still. Yes, please.
I'm Alden.
Hi, Alden.
I really liked the movie shows, La La Land, and I could feel the emotion in your voice. At the end, sometimes you kind of got a little bit quieter, and then you got a little bit louder, so I like that.
Improvement.
I really like her speech.
Name?
I'm Jeffrey.
Hi, Jeffrey.
I really like her speech, and I can see her well prepared, and it's very organized. If I have to find an improvement, it would be like you seem a little bit nervous. You can be less tense next time.
Yeah. Yes. Talk about that. Did you feel nervous, Reshma?
I'm not super nervous, but it's always a little nerve-wracking.
A little bit. Okay. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see that what you were doing a lot was holding yourself and pinching yourself to reassure yourself with your hands. And you want to let that go, just relax yourself, but don't stay in the power stance. Feet wider apart, yeah. And just stop making this gesture one that you commonly do as you speak. Well, you started with great lights, camera, action, Hollywood, real great exciting way to start. And I thought you were going to end with Lights, Camera, Action, Hollywood, and you did kind of the roller coaster part to a tie back. But the best thing is to tie back to your most vivid thing, and that works the best. Your thesis preview, inspired, euphoric, and optimistic, was very clear. Okay, don't hold your hands. Just let them be relaxed by your side. Yeah, good. No one's going to hurt you. You quoted Brian Calarico, but you didn't say where his review occurred. Okay, so where it came from. But you did have a nice Chicago-style bibliography, style quote. You forgot to say whether you agree or disagree with the quote, so remember that little subtle point in there that everyone's putting in. On the first way the film moved you was that you said it inspired you. Stand the power stance. I know it seems unnatural to you. You told us the story of someone that was forced to play music that he didn't like, and then he said, screw it, I'm going to play my music. And then you related this to the fact that you were volunteering at a hospital, which you didn't like, and then you quit. You know, it meant no letter of recommendation for your college application, I suppose. But you wanted to do something you were passionate about. What you needed to do is repeat the emotion and say, and at that moment when I quit, I felt so inspired that I was suddenly following my passion and not doing what my parents or what my college counselor told me I had to do. And come back to and repeat the emotion, see? So we follow it better, see? So repeat the emotion at the end of each one. I'm going to say it 3 times. Euphoric. Okay, yeah. You told us when you were a senior, your grades weren't where you want them to be, as you put it. But you did join the dance team, and you danced your heart out. Here's where you needed to elaborate and say, and when I'm dancing, I feel euphoric. Remember that feeling, felt, sensing, so we'll feel it too. And say, that's why I felt euphoric. See? Unoptimistic. You said you're optimistic because you're going to pharmacy school, and you told us that you're worried about leaving all your family and friends behind, and that's going to be kind of scary. What you needed to do was transition into the optimistic part of that, which is to say, despite that, I'm optimistic. I feel optimistic that I'm doing the right thing and going to pharmacy school and cutting the umbilical cord with my family and growing up and becoming a woman and not a little girl, right? So, return to the emotion, do more felt, sensing. Summary was perfect. Conclusion, no. The conclusion of the speech is the film really moved you. You have some concluding remarks about getting stuck in the routine. You can say that all on your tie back. But the conclusion is, your thesis was, the film really moved me, supporting evidence, how to move me, 3 ways. See? So don't forget to put in, there should be no doubt in this room, this film really moved me. Your tie back was okay. Connive. Speak and walk at the same time around the classroom. Speak at a good pace. That's fast that everyone can understand me. Make eye contact with all the people in the room. How'd they go? How'd your connives go? Yeah? Did you feel you made eye contact with everyone? Okay, good. We're looking for 3 to 5 seconds, so make sure you sustain it that long. And overall, you did a good job. Just remember 2 big things that you want to work on, which is that. Remember, the big mission of the speech was, for the stickiness of the speech, we're practicing learning to make an emotional connection with our audience, which our authors of our text say is that emotion is so important in making a speech sticky. And you do that by felt sensing, by feeling your emotions, re-feeling your emotions, and then we feel them, right? And then just, a little more emphatic, work on your hands, and you're on your way. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay. We have somebody on deck. Oh, you need to see the old green stapler. Yeah.
You want to count down. Like if you have preferences, so. Okay.
Okay, oh, yeah. Sway a step, yeah. Okay, you're taller than the last speaker. Okay, let's see how the batteries doing. Batteries doing fine. Okay. Robert is ready to speak. He stands before you, managing attention. Communicating with Eye front of the eyes, near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech, Robert.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert.
Hi, Robert.
And so, as a child, in my childhood, it's always been my dream to be a Goonie or have friends that would want to go on epic adventures. And so, the movie that I want to portray today is the film The Goonies. And with it, it deals a lot with friendship and their tightly knit bonds. With this movie, it gave me 3 personal feelings I connected with, which was sympathetic, adventurous, and anxious. And with this film, I felt like it was something that anyone could watch. That it brings in your inner childhood, and with the film. This
film review from the New York Times, maybe you want to talk about?
So the film, reviewed by New York Times by Janet Moslin, stated that it has unimaginable roundhouse fun. It has everything from pirates to skeletons to cobwebs to treasure chests to like this underground caves and I guess fun-loving pirates that are willing to give out secret clues of where things are hidden. And so when you watch this film, it really gives you that connection of you want to go and have an adventure. And so the first emotion that I had with this film was that it made me feel sympathetic. So in the instance of the sympathy that I had was with the Goonies. The main character, Mikey, and his friends, which they call themselves the Goonies, due to the fact that they live in a city called the Goondocks. And so what was going on is that many of the communities actually losing their homes because of the foreclosure that's going on. And so many of them were unaware of where they're going to move to, the new schools that they're going to be living into, and their friendship if they're still going to be friends together because they're moving into these new have to move to these new areas. And so the reason why I felt sympathetic is because it reminded me of the 2007-2010 housing crisis, mortgage crisis, subprime mortgage crisis, where I saw my whole neighborhood. People were losing homes, families and friends, and so it made me feel helpless as the main characters in that film, knowing what they went through. And so it made me question whether my parents would also lose their house as well. As a military brat, I grew up moving around a lot, and I hated the fact moving to new schools, making new friends, and trying to figure out how to adjust in that. So I kind of felt like this really resonated with me with the film. And so it made me feel that, friendship and homes and houses, they actually have a core part in making you create these bonds and, interrelationships. The second feeling that I had with this film was that it made me feel adventurous. And the reason why it made me feel adventurous is like they find a pirate map, a treasure map, where it tells them to go to the coast of the Oregon area. And so when they're riding their bikes to the Oregon Trail, it makes you feel like, wow, they're out there, they're actually going out and having an adventure. And it makes you want to like go do something too. So like it reminded me of an event that me and my grandma did. So back in the day, like my great aunt gave me this really beautiful portrait of like the coast of Northern California. And so when me and my grandma looked at it, we were like mesmerized by the picture. We were like, you know what, we should go to Northern California shores and just drive around there. So my grandma not living that very far, we decided we'll just drive over there and go and see this beautiful place. And so when I was there, I was like mesmerized because I was on the cliff. It felt like a whole new world, like seeing all this stuff. Like I was hiking up and down like the cliffs, seeing whales, seeing like all these seals and everything. It just made me like, wow, this is such a beautiful place. And like, that picture reminded me of that. I didn't find any treasure, but the thing is, we later found out that the picture that my grand aunt gave us was actually worth $10,000. So it was, I guess we did find somewhat treasure in that. And the third feeling that I had with the film was that it made me feel anxious. So in the scene of the film, there was a booby trap, and in the booby traps, they had to play a musical, they had to play piano. And so only one individual Goonie member, Andy, was able to play the piano, but she did not know how to read the chords very well. And so everyone's life depended on her playing the chords or they'll all die. And it reminded me of a moment when I had to take my biochem test, my biochem final. And I came 1 hour late to my final, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna fail my class, like I need an A. And so I came an hour late, and I was just rushing as fast as I can, trying to remember, like biochem jargon, like, I don't know, like gluconeogenesis and the citric acid cycle. I'm like, oh my god, how do I do this? And so I finished the final on time, but the thing is there was also an extra credit part of it. And so you have to rely on your friends, you had to rely on my lab partners as well, making sure that we all did good on the extra credit so that we can get extra points. So it's like they depended on me, even though I was late, we still able to do it, and I ended up getting an actual A in that class, so it wasn't as bad. And then one thing that the movie reminded me of, the movie reminded me of three things. It reminded me of being sympathetic, adventurous, and anxious. And you can see that it tied in a lot of like friendship and this tight-knit community. So it brings in that like reminder of like your youthness, I guess, in the movie. So I would recommend watching the film if you want to just like have an adventure or just want to just hang out with your friends and have that close-knit bond. Sorry.
Thank you. Back to the center, please. By the rope is the center. Yeah, thank you. Are we still in the back row? Yes, sir. Hi.
My name is Ian.
Hi, Ian.
I like that you really went into the action when you spoke. I think you changed a little bit of what you said, what you wrote, really, and that's really interesting. Because in this way you engage more with us. Thank you.
By being Mark Severinus, what was the time?
6:10.
6:10. So you were overtime. Ruben.
Hi, my name is Steve.
Hi.
And I really like the speech. I like the stories. And if I want to find an improvement, is try to not be so nervous next time, so you can the speech.
Yeah. Yeah, you seem to be struggling with the content a little bit, Robert. And that was okay. Yeah. Your intro was a self-disclosure, which was really interesting self-disclosure, I thought, Robert, you said. I was one to be a Goonie and go on an adventure. And so I thought that was interesting, and so I thought there was going to be some kind of tie back to I wanted to be a Goonie and go on an adventure, and then more vividly tie back to what you started with would be good. You set the narrative tone. You got it out. Could be a little bit better set with your voice. Sympathetic, adventurous, anxious. But you did say it, so we got it. We knew where you were going. You stumbled, but ultimately got the New York Times quote in its essence out. Forgot to say whether you agreed or disagreed with the quote. So remember, little details.
I wrote that down.
And you did
Yeah.
say it, but you didn't say it. And so, just a little more practice, Robert, and you can fill in the details that were missing. On sympathetic, let's just go to your emotions because we're running late. I knew you were going to go overtime because your plot summaries were a bit too long. You could have cut those out and just spend more time telling us about your feelings. I thought this was your best one, but you didn't return so much to your feeling of, everyone in the block was being foreclosed upon, and you were sympathetic because you said, I'm an Army brat, are we going to be foreclosed upon too? And that's why I felt sympathetic to be the last word out of your mouth, as you remembered how sympathetic you felt toward your neighbors being kicked to the street. Right? Yeah. When you watch yourself tonight, it's not going to be so apparent on YouTube, but walk there, walk further to the left to work that side of the room a little bit better. And uncross your arms, don't be defensive, just be by your side. And then come back to center, where the rope is there in the center, for your final summation and your third point. Yeah. So, you talk about being adventurous, and just to not make too fine a point on it, I loved your story about going and having the adventure of living what was in the picture and seeing the Northern California coast. It's quite a beautiful coast. But what you didn't say, except to tell us it's worth $10,000, which was interesting. But in doing that with my grandmother, I felt adventurous. Remember the emotion. Remember what you're doing. It's not just telling a story, but communicating an emotion. Don't forget what you're doing. Okay. On anxious. Yeah. Same thing. I was anxious during the exam. I was late. I wasn't sure I was going to pass. And you were more interested in telling us the grade you got and sharing with us how anxious you were and returning to the emotion of saying, and even though I got a good grade, that's why I felt anxious. See? A subtle difference there. Summary was good. Forgot to say there's no doubt in this room that this film, The Goonies, is really in the movie. You wrote it here. And then your tieback was 5. No canais. Remember to always have 3 goals that you set that you write. Other than that, excellent job. Thank you. Okay, rock and roll. Okay, Pamela, this way here. Yes, good. Perfect. And we are rolling.
Hi, I'm Pamela.
Hi, Pamela. Pamela, take a step forward. You're a little far back. Yeah. That's better. You're closer to your audience, more direct. There's fewer barriers between you. If you're against the wall, you look like you're afraid of them. So now you're more connected without breaking their body bubble. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Pamela. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Pamela.
Hi, Pamela.
Oftentimes, we take freedom for granted. We have the freedom to travel the world, to go new places, and make new connections with other people. Now, I want want you to imagine a life without freedom. A life where you're held against your will for the past 7 years in a 10 foot by 10 foot garden shed with only a trivial skylight reminding you that the world is moving while you stay there stuck in that same position. That is the life that Ma and Jack had in the movie Root. Today I want to share with you the movie that really moved me, Root. It stars Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay. It made me feel, it touched me, it made me angry, and it made me reflect on my own life. Ross Duthok from the National Review states that the story is so raw and primal, the plot's fairy tale so stark in clarity that it is almost too difficult to find the distance required for critical judgment. And I wholeheartedly agree with the statement because while watching the movie, you couldn't help but put yourself in that same position with Ma and Jack. The first way that this film moved me was that it touched me. The movie does a great job portraying Ma and Jack as a tribe. They do everything together, Ma takes care of Jack, and Jack provides the joy for Ma to live her life in that room. This scene reminded me of my own life. When I was 6 years old, my mom and I immigrated to the United States from the Philippines. Coming into a new country, it was definitely scary, and all we had was each other. So, in a way, when I saw that film, it made me reflect on my relationship with my mom because we became a tribe like Ma and Jack. We had each other, and we made it through the difficult times together. The second way that this film moved me was that it made me angry. It made me angry at the fact that Ma's captor would come in every night and physically abuse her while Jack is literally sleeping inches away from them. This scene reminded me of my cousin. She and her boyfriend have been in a relationship since high school. So I went to a family gathering and I saw them in the backyard with him screaming at her face, forcefully raising a hand, and I couldn't help but stand there helpless and at the same time angry. Angry at the fact that a man who has the audacity to abuse a woman can do that to someone. And I couldn't help but think back to the scene in Room, that why would you abuse someone like that? And the third way that the film moved me was that it made me reflect on my own life. So in the movie, there was a particular scene where Ma and Jack escaped and they were taken back to Ma's childhood home. So you see Jack taking in the house with nervous, hesitant eyes because all he's ever known was the confines of that 10 foot by 10 foot garden shed. So it kind of reminded me of myself last quarter. Coming up to this college campus, I was definitely hesitant, nervous, but at the same time excited for a new life like Jack. I couldn't help but feel like Jack in that scene because the movie is seen through Jack's eyes, and it made me reflect on my life. In summary, I have told you 3 ways that this film moved me. It touched me, it made me angry, and it made me reflect on my own life. There should be no doubt in this room that this film really moved me. Oftentimes, this freedom we take for granted. The freedom to explore and create our own lives for ourselves. Now, as you've seen in the movie, that is not true for all individuals. Those individuals have an authoritative figure breathing down their necks and telling them to do exactly what they want to do. That they can only hope for the light to shine on them, and the hope that maybe they can escape the nightmare that they're living. Thank you.
Thank you. 422. Thank you so much for coming.
I like your speech, your voice is very clear, and I can understand your story easily.
Yeah. Understand easily. Good. Improvement.
I'm Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I really like your speech, but it just made more like clear eye contact with
Okay, and we want to have 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact. Are you under your hand? Put them side by side. Pamela, are you comfortable with 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact? Does that work for you, or does that seem a little long, or is that tough for you? It's kind of long, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's practice it right now. Let's start with this gentleman here, and tell us about your morning, and then I'll clap when 5 seconds have gone by, and then I'll tap the desk, and then you can go on to the next person, and so forth. I'll have you do 4 or 5 people, okay?
Okay. So today I woke up
And
at
if you
7.
blink, I start the time over again, because that breaks the connection.
Oh, I
So
can't
you can't blink. No, don't blink.
Okay. So today I woke up at 7:15 and brushed my teeth. I got breakfast and went to work from 8 to 10. And then I went to my chemistry discussion where we did practice problems. And then after that, I went back to my dorm and dropped off my stuff.
Okay,
And
did you
then-
feel the difference? Did you see how long 5 seconds? A little longer than you were giving it. Okay. Emma, like your speech, you related it to your own experience, which was wise. You had some very interesting things to say in your observations about freedom in the beginning, which you tied back to nicely. So, and I agree with you, we do take our freedom and liberty for granted. And when I travel around the world to places I won't mention, I come back and kiss the ground because I see the ways other people have to live and comply and not vote, and wear hoods over their faces and not be able to go to school. And I come back to America and kiss the ground. So I agree with you. I know that sounds awfully self-centered, but I'm just being honest. So you talked about the room. Yeah. You said that it touched you, it made you angry, and it made you reflect on your own experience. I thought that I was a little worried that it touched me. I didn't know how you're going to communicate that emotion. It's kind of a vague emotion. So I was curious how that was going to go. Your film review quote was excellent. Did all the things right, quoted where it came from, and agreed with it, and had a Chicago citation at the bottom. On your main body, it touched you, and then you talked about they were in a tribe in a small confined space, and then you said you and your mother had to form kind of a tribe. You only had each other to survive, I guess, shall we say, as you got on, as you were strangers in a strange land, right? What I didn't get and what I didn't have see you do is say and return to, and that's why I was touched. And I didn't get you referring back to the emotions so much. I just had you telling a story of you and your mother. So I didn't get emotion out of it, I got a story. So remember you telling a story and reliving an emotion. Now, your best one was your anger, right? And you briefly told us about a negative thing in the movie, and you told it in 2 sentences, which I liked very much. You talked of a similar thing of your cousin and a similar situation with her and her boyfriend, who is screaming and raising her hand and abusing her. You went through this, but as you were telling the story, you were relying on us to feel angry and to know that you infer that you felt angry because of such a bad thing, but you didn't say it. The more I saw this and the more I saw him yelling at her, the angrier I got. and you didn't repeat, go back and say, and that's why I felt angry, see? And that really would have locked in the emotion and locked in an emotional connection with your audience, see? You see what I wanted you to do? Yeah, okay. Reflect on my own life. Again, this is kind of a amorphous emotion, reflecting. So I was wondering what you were going to do with it. And you talked about coming to college and seeing these beautiful brick buildings and this wonderful place and saying, it made me reflect, but I didn't know what kind of emotion that was. So my suggestion would have been to choose a little more concrete emotions that you can connect better with your audience. Your summary was excellent. Your conclusion should have been your tie back. You needed to say there should be no doubt in this room that this film really moved me. And then go into your tie back about we take freedom for granted, etc. Your canais, make sure you have 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact. Walk without facing away from my audience. And try to limit my hand movement, as they can sometimes be distracting. How did it go?
Well, like just making movements helps ease the nervousness.
Uh-huh.
So I think I did less than what I did for my respect speech.
Yeah. I think you're getting better on these things. One thing I want you to watch tonight when you watch yourself on YouTube, just you're try to lock your legs a little bit, widening your stance even a little bit more. So and locking your legs even a little bit more, so you get away from this sway, because you're a swayer, and if you could just stand and deliver, that would be great. But overall, it was a good job, and I loved your observations about America and freedom. Thank you. Okay, next.
I was able to print all of these.
Oh, praise the Lord. All right. And you even stapled them. Good man. Okay. Oh, good, yeah. That reminds me, I will need for you to remember to write up and turn in your outline of your introduction of your study buddy. So thank you. Okay, let's see how we're doing on time. Well, it looks like the old battery's got one more speech in it, but it usually doesn't go this long. But hey, what the heck? It's still green, so we'll go for it, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ian.
Hi, Ian.
I want to ask you a quick question. How many of you got vaccinated before getting to college in your home? You didn't?
Well, that's a long story. No, I didn't need to.
Oh, you didn't have to. How many of you know somebody who got chemotherapy? Yeah. That's my story thing. I always was thinking how they were able to make these vaccinations. Today, I want to talk about the story of Henrietta Lacks. This story made me feel amazed, frustrated, and made me feel dedicated to achieve my dreams. Henrietta Lacks is an African-American woman who lived in the 1940s, I think. Yeah, 1940s. And because of her, we got all of these vaccinations today. Because of her, we all are alive and in this class. Henrietta Lacks had cancer when she was around like 20 years old, I think. And she couldn't be treated in a hospital because at that time you couldn't get in a white hospital. So she got mistreated by the hospitals, like the other hospital that she got into. Unfortunately, she died of cancer, and without the permission of her family, the doctors made an autopsy on her. And they found out that her cells live forever. In 24 hours, each cell in her body multiplies twice. At this day, her cells could reach the moon. That's how much we have out of her. Anyway, so because of that, they were able to do experiments that helped us to test these vaccinations and help them work. The first thing I felt out of this movie was I felt frustrated because from the 1940s, nobody knows about her story. Nobody knew about her story. Until this day, in the 21st century, Oprah Winfrey, I think all of you know her, made a film about her, made a full movie about her. And from that time, I knew her. I felt frustrated because, there are really good stories that nobody knows. Actually, her story was known out of a college student. Like you guys in this class, there was a professor, not me, there was a professor who was talking about the HeLa cells. It's a shortcut of her name, Henrietta Lacks. He was talking about her cells and how we were able to make vaccines out of them. So she asked the professor after the class finished, who is she? What's her story? How we were able to get these cells out of her? The professor replied, I don't know. Yeah, check the movie, read the book. Yeah. So she went and looked for Henrietta Lacks. And that's the second feeling that made me feel dedicated in this movie. Because she tried so hard to contact her family, Henrietta Lacks family. People mistreated the family really bad because they didn't get any money out of it. They didn't have the permission when they did the autopsy out of their mother. Till this day, her family is still alive. Her daughter, I think she has around 9 sons or 8. She has a big family. So till this day, they didn't get anything out of her. So when she asked them to get information about her, they felt used. And guys, when you feel used, it's really bad. You can't, you can't control yourself. So she tried really hard, and I recommend you to watch this movie. It's around 2 hours, but it's really worth it. You can see how she's dedicated on working to get the story. The third feeling that I had in this movie was I felt amazed because how her story and how her as a person made us alive this day. Most of the vaccines we get when we're 5 years old, 3 years old, 11, 12, and before we get to college, that saves our life. We didn't